Now we're in the studio to discuss challenges and prospects of Nigeria's development at 8:57 with a focus on the participation of young people. He's a public affairs analyst, Wale Oshunde. Thanks for joining us. Now we saw many of our past leaders who became presidents or became leaders just before 35 years of age. And now we have young people who are desperately or raising their hands and saying, we are here, we can be part of this, and nobody's listening to them. How did we get here?
Well, firstly, I'd like to congratulate Nigerians. 57 years of our national life is no joke. And so I'd like to also wish them happy independence anniversary. Now, back to your question. You see, it's a very simple thing. I've been an advocate of the young, not too young to run thing, but I also like to tell our young people that the old ones are never going to leave the scene completely for us, and then they expect us to come in. No, it's not going to be like that. We have to organize ourselves. We have to put ourselves together. We have to coordinate ourselves properly and then take charge of the affairs of our national life. And that is just it, pure and simple. If we are expecting that the former presidents or the former leaders, the old ones, are actually going to leave the scene totally, and then we are now going to come there and do whatever we want to do, is never going to happen. So we should organize ourselves, bring ourselves together. I mean, I've been saying that young people can actually take charge of the affairs of this country, and then they will deliver excellently well. It is very simple, tested, and it has worked. Most of our former leaders in this country that has delivered excellently well were below even 30 years old. That's the honest truth. It was only the great Zeke that was, I think, about 41 or 42. At that point in time, it was the oldest of them all. I mean, most of the current generals that we have, they were 30, 32, 31, 29. We had people, nationalists, who were even 28 years old, 25 years old. And then they were sponsoring motions. They were talking about the greater development of this country. And then they contributed largely to what we are witnessing now.
Now, I understand your confidence. Many others have also said, I mean, many of our young people are all up for sale. Many of them, they're on social media, they're everywhere, they're the lords online, and they are being bought to change the mindset of Nigerians, whether wrong or right. Can we depend on such people to actually lead Nigeria to the right path?
Absolutely, we can, because, I mean, take, for instance, the Canadian situation. Look at what is happening in France, or what has happened in France. I mean, you see young people taking charge of the affairs of their countries, and then they have proved the fact that young people have the intellectual capacity, they have, you know, what it takes to actually deliver excellently well. And then do not forget the fact that, I mean, young people are well-traveled, young people are well-read. I mean, the kind of intellectual sagacity that you see in our land right now is really different and, you know, upgraded from the versions that we used to have. And so, you know, that goes to tell you that young people, I mean, look at the recruitment in the private sector and what have you. They want people who are even below the ages of 25, and, you know, and so that tells you that they know that the intellectual capacity, the mindset of the young people right now is so composed, so organized, well-formed, you know, and then well-shaped, you know, to take charge of the affairs of
we also have young people who never learned our history, who know of more of American history or the British history than they know of Nigerian history. How do you expect that they can learn from the mistakes of the past and move on if they literally don't even know when the war happened? Some young people don't have an idea that there was a civil war in Nigeria. They don't know much about, I mean, our history. How can they learn and make better Nigeria if they don't understand the history? They don't even read anymore like they are supposed to.
Well, I mean, you've said it all. Some young people. That does not mean that every young people, I mean, you understand what I'm talking about. So now, it is now our own responsibility to ensure that we screen those people that we want to take charge of the affairs of this country very well before we now send them, you know, to the public sphere to sell or market or campaign or canvass for votes for those people. And so that is just it. You see, if I may ask, is it every old person that you also have in Nigeria that knows about the history of this country? It is not true. And so it means that, of course, every young person cannot know everything about Nigeria, but it is our responsibility, or should I say, it is the duty of the youth, and then, of course, the Nigerian people, to screen and then ask questions. And that's why a lot of people have continued to advocate for, you know, the debates, you know, before the elections. So, I mean, that will give us another platform, another opportunity to ask questions.
I mean, if the debates are not compulsory, you can choose not to come.
Yes, but now
maybe win the elections too.
Now people are saying, make sure that this debate is compulsory.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, one last question. There's the issue of concerned people saying the older ones are going to be godfathers to these young ones. They're going to put them there, impose their candidates, and then they also be leading just from behind.
Well, that would be unfortunate.
Young people can't afford to fund elections in Nigeria. Many of the young people we have, except at least your father is rich or you have godfathers who are backing you. That's a problem.
Well, I don't think that is actually the best approach to our politics. And the honest truth is, I mean, look at Barack Obama, for example. When he was campaigning to be president of the United States of America, he didn't have the funds. But then he was able to raise funds, and people supported that idea. And I think that is a basic problem that we really need to solve in this country. We must move forward as a people. You see, the era of people funding elections for other candidates should be over by now. Because you notice that if I spend a lot of money, I have to borrow money, or a godfather is sponsoring me to, to make up for an election, then the first thing that candidate is looking forward to doing the moment he gets into office is to recoup the money and then refund all of these policies. And so that is unfortunate. But the moment we see that somebody who can make a difference is up there and wants to do something, everybody should rally around that person. We should canvass for votes for that person. We should support that person's electoral funding, and then we ensure that we hold such a person to account when eventually it makes it to office.
I mean, I know I said it was last question, but finally, let's talk about young people and unity in Nigeria. I mean, we go online and we see them cursing each other out by tribes, by religion. It's really toxic out there. What message should we get out there for young people when it comes to using social media to spread fake news, to understanding people's culture, beliefs, their history, whatever concerns them, and understanding this, respecting the boundaries? What do you have to say?
I have actually been an advocate of the fact that young people, the youths of Nigeria, should be very careful. We should never be tools in the hands of politicians, despicable politicians, horrendous ones who actually wants to keep their own children up there, abroad, and then they want to now use Nigerian youths as merchants, of doom, and then they should go there and kill people on their behalf and what have you, just to get into office. And so we should be very careful as young people. We should never succumb to any pressure from any older politician or even younger politician who do not mean well for this country. And so we should be agents of peace. We should be true agents of change, and we should ensure that Nigeria is blessed indeed. That's the honest truth, because this country is blessed. So we should now ensure that it is blessed indeed. Human development, youthful participation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll stop. I have more questions, but we just have to stop. Wale Oshunde, Public Affairs Analyst, appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're watching TVC News. We're going to break and return with more stories. Stay with us.